Deathless titans placed upon the face of the earth 3 generations of men, the first of them being men of gold. Becoming too close to gods themselves, Cronus ended their time on earth with an eternal sleep. A second generation came to be, the men of silver. Unwilling to serve the titans and make sacrifices upon the holy altars, as all men shall do, they were condemned to dwell under the earth for all eternity. Finally, a third generation, the men of bronze, a brazen race, sprung from the ash tree. Terrible and strong are they. Join me as I tell you the tales of the men of bronze. This is Dragon's Blood. Beware Brontes. Episode 21. Stepping outside into the bright sunlight of the morning forced everyone to squint their eyes. As they walked through the sparse crowd from the roadhouse to the stables, Gamden shouted out, "Capri! Capri! Where are you? Time to go." Gamden frowned as he continued, "Where is that damn cat? He better be close by." "Have no fear, Gamden," Minkari answered with a reassuring smile. "He's your familiar. He has no choice but to respond to your command." Rustling of leaves in the nearby tree and a loud meow. Kepri made his presence known. Quickly he jumped from branch to branch, then ran down the trunk. Stopping in front of Gamden, he stretched out all of his muscles, then looked up at him, meowing loudly again, letting everyone know his displeasure of being roused from his slumber. "Don't give me no talk back," Gamden said, looking down at him, with arms akimbo, and continued, "I'll make you walk the rest of the day." Sunisret laughed and said, "Don't take his crap, Kepri. Show him who's boss around here." Fixing his gaze on Gamden, then over to Sunisret, Kepri walked over to Gamden, tail straight in the air. "Good boy." A pat to the haunches was his reward. "Now go find the horses so we can get going." With dust at his paws, Kepri ran to the stables, tail in the air. While he watched his familiar sprint away, Gamden said to everyone, "We're going to need more provisions for the rest of our journey." He reached into the purse around his neck and produced a few coins. "Sunisret, why don't you find a merchant with fruit and dried meats?" Counting out a few copper pieces, he placed them in Sunisret's palm and said, "Take this for the food," then gave him a silver piece, "and this for some wine tonight." Smiling ear to ear, Sunisret ran off at full speed towards the merchant caravan. Minkari shook his head and laughed when he said, "That boy has 2 things on his mind: wine and women." Both Akim and Minkari said at the same time. Everyone laughed and continued on to the stables. With the horses saddled and Kepri curled up in one of the saddlebags, Gamden paid for the horses' keep and met Akim and Minkari outside. All 3 on their mounts, they made for the main road to the east. Sunisret came running toward them from the merchants in the field, shouting, "Akim! Akim! Look what one of the merchants gave me to give to you." His arms full of goods, he ran as fast as he could without dropping anything. "Most of the traders recognized me as your traveling companion and gave me all this free stuff." Sunisret stuffed as much of the goods into the saddlebags as he continued, "An old woman said this was for you." He held out a small statue of Athena on a leather necklace. Akim took it gently, held it up to look at it, then said with reverence, "Precious," then placed it around his neck. Why did they give you all this free stuff? Gamden asked with a surprised look on his face. Word got around fast that Akim fought off the shapeshifter in the night. Sunnisred jerked his thumb over his shoulder towards Akim. Then they just started giving me all this free stuff. I would have had more, but my arms were overflowing. You didn't get wine for yourself? Asked Minkari in surprise. I got a couple of bottles, replied Sunnisred as he slowly moved his haversack around to his back. Come on, Gamden goaded. Let's see what's in the bag. Okay. I got more than a couple bottles. Sunnisred took the bag from his shoulder and held it open for all to see. Akim counted out loud. 4, 5, 6 bottles that I can see anyway. With a sheepish grin on his face, Sunnisred slung the bag over his shoulder again and replied, They were generous. It would have been rude to refuse gifts like these. Sure, said Gamden as he rolled his eyes. Master Akim! A voice from the crowd behind them shouted. Master Akim, wait for me! The party looked around to find where the voice was coming from. Sunnisred, head and shoulders above everybody, spotted a young man waving his arms frantically and pointed him out. Looking over their shoulders, the party saw a thickly muscled, barrel-chested male on a small cart pulled by a single donkey. As the cart pulled up beside them, the young man said with a lisp, Thank you for waiting. Papa said you would be here this morning, and the blacksmith was taking extra long to help me unload the cart this morning. I was worried that I would miss you, and then Papa would be upset with me. The party looked at each other, then back to this strange young man, with a round face, small brown eyes, small mouth, broad nose, and close-cropped black hair. His simple white toga, tied off at the waist, soiled from the morning's labor. Thick-soled sandals seemed too small for his feet, but looked brand new. Akim looked the young man up and down, then into the crowd, assured that no one else was coming up from the clearing full of people, then asked, How did you know we would be here? Papa said you would be here this morning, replied the young man with a happy smile on his face. Who are you, and who is Papa? Queried Akim. My name is Mutalu, and you are Akim, and you are Gamden, and you are... Mutalu pointed each one of them out in order, hesitated, then continued, Minkari! Your name is Minkari! He laughed triumphantly. Ha ha ha! Papa will be so proud that I remembered all your names. Looking up at Sunnisred, Mutalu frowned his brow and continued, Papa didn't tell me about you. My name is Sunnisred. They shook hands in friendship. Akim looked around and took in his surroundings, making sure there was an escape route, then said, I don't like this. You know who we are, but we have never met you before. Tell me who Papa is. Now. Papa says never to say his name aloud outside of the compound. Too dangerous. That's what Papa says. I don't like this, Gamden. I don't like this at all, repeated Akim. Silent up to this point, Gamden looked intensely at Mutalu, then said with confidence, I think this is another time when we have to trust. I think we should hear him out, Gamden continued. How did your papa know we would be here? Papa said he had a dream before winter came this year. Doing his best to recall what his papa told him, Mutalo continued slowly. An old man named Kafu was in his dream. Oh my! Oh my! Blurted Minkari out loud. Kafu came to me in a dream too. Gamden is right. This is more than mere coincidence. Mutalo continued with his story. Papa was told to expect for you to be here today, and that he was to make something before your arrival. Mutalo frowned. Papa would never show me what it is. I'm so curious to see what it is. Did you bring it with you? Asked Gamden. No, Papa said you were to come home with me, and he will give it to you there. Gamden looked at his 3 traveling companions, then down at his saddle horn. Arguing with himself silently, he took a minute to go over several scenarios. Akim said in a reassuring voice, I think I can speak for all of us, Gamden. Where you go, we follow. Isn't that right, friends? He nodded to Minkari and Sunisret. Both nodded back in agreement. Gamden smiled at his friends, then at Mutalo, and said, Lead the way, friend, extending his hand in friendship. Mutalo smiled from ear to ear, leaned over in his cart, and shook Gamden's hand with zeal, almost pulling him out of his saddle. Mutalo, will you do me a big favor? Asked Sunisret. What do you need, friend? Responded Mutalo. I have been walking ever since Dionysidoros. I sure am tired of walking. Plus my boot has a hole in the sole. Sunisret took his boot off and put his finger through the hole to emphasize his point. I sure would love to ride on your cart with you. It's a small cart. Only room up front for me. Mutalo pointed to the cargo box. Lots of room in the back. Only half a load to take home. And once we get there, the cobbler can fix your boots. Sunisret quickly put his boot back on and ran to the cargo box. Boy, I sure am tired of walking. As he sat down, the cart creaked and the front shafts tilted upward, lifting the donkey off the ground, braying in displeasure. Everyone laughed at the same time at the sight before them. You big bastard, Gamden shouted out loud. You almost broke Mutalo's cart. Sunisret frowned as he said, It's not funny. The hole in my boot's gonna get bigger. My foot is starting to hurt. Once Mutalo steadied himself on the teetering cart and stopped laughing, he said, That was fun. But my donkey's not too happy. Put us down slowly, and I will go get a big wagon for the road home. Wait for me here. I'll be right back. Sunisret slowly stood up, and the cart leveled off. Donkey back on all 4 hoofs. With a quick snap of the reins, Mutalo was off. Look for episode 22 of Dragon's Blood, Beware Brontes, on YouTube.